Muchas gracias.
So thank you very much. We're going to start with our panel. So thank you very much for being here. And yesterday night we had a nice party. Unfortunately, with the rain, it wasn't much fun. But anyway, I would like to start, and I would like to tell you all about Mexico. I was born in Venezuela, and when I was a very young boy, we left for Mexico. So I wanted to know all the Latin American countries and live in these countries. And now I live in Monte City. But since I know most of the Americas, I can say that Mexico really is special. First of all, it has a geography which is very diverse, spectacular beauty, and then, of course, the culture, the food, the music. It's absolutely spectacular. And then, of course, the size of the market itself is absolutely huge. And it's very generous. And then for foreigners like me, they open their doors and they allow us to become part of their daily life. But the thing that actually strikes me is the heart of the Mexican people. And I tell you with all of my feelings, so the heart of Mexicans is as big as their country. After having said this, let us start. Let us start because, first of all, in alphabetical order, with Ricardo Cueto, Director of Production of Azteca. He has the mission of producing and earning money. This is a very important challenge. And so shall we look at your video? Yes, so let us look at Ricardo's video. These panelists, so he's had great national and international success. So let us look at Ricardo Cueto's video. Azteca is the company. He's the production manager. So this is the new things we are producing in Azteca. We produce 1,300 hours of production and 1,500 hours of original production with the news, sport, realities, etc. We have a huge offer. We are the world leaders talking about content in the Spanish language. And we are now betting a lot on the original histories, and we have an in-house workshop with writers. And the importance of producing in Mexico and exporting content, and to do it obviously in the right way, is we're focusing on quality, on efficiency, and trying to do things faster and better. We're very happy with what we are doing. There's many things that are in the pipeline, and we have 20 years producing talent products, and we have Maestro Raúl Quintanilla, who's been basically the person who has managed to have talents grow within our company. So what we are now doing is betting on young talent, on young ideas. So, of course, this is what we are about to do, especially regarding the production of content. So thank you very much. Now we shall continue with Epigmenio Ibarra, who is the founder of Argos Comunicacion. They produce telenovelas, films, documentaries. They have a school for theater, and Epigmenio is a communicator. He has time also to have a column in the newspapers, and also a very progressive position and very acute way of looking at things. So, Epigmenio, let us look at your video. Go on, Epigmenio. So our challenge has been, before everything, is to exist in a country very complicated with two big companies that concentrate the signal, the frequency, and everything. To become independent producers and to survive and to grow has been the real challenge that has taken up these 20 years. We started with a principle, in other words, to show that we were different, and also respecting the creative ideas of the people who came to us, and also producing for TV things that belong to the theater, maybe, and also integrate great writers and transform their works into works for the television. And above all, thinking in a television that you do it with a sense for the community, in other words, for other people, but we do it for ourselves. So the TV products we produce, we want to be proud of our products. So this is a challenge, and this has been our work. And we've been very, very lucky because we've had the trust of many important companies in the world, like Telemundo, HBO, ESPN. And they have decided to help us, to stay with us, and to bet on us. So we try to be consistent and to deliver a TV. Today we produce something that people like, and but we want to do something that people deserve. In other words, we have to change things. We have to be reasonably audacious. We need consistent formats so that the public will feel that this is something for them, and use the ways, like San Ignacio de Loyola was saying, to come in with theirs to come out with ours. So thank you very much, Epigmenio. So let us now move to Allan Navarrete, who is a historical director of EVP Mexico. And he produces original Mexican content. So Allan, okay, let us look at your video and then you can comment. See, 20 years in Latin America and Mexico, so we did our first series for Discovery Kids, I think, was 20 years ago, and we did it together with Epigmenio. So huge experience, huge talent in Mexico. We've done interesting productions. So we are looking for formats that work in Mexico, in Latin America, the Spanish market, in the USA, and of course they can travel in the entire world. Stories that we can tell and that work. And we have also series like Apocalipsis Maya, and this was sent all over the world, totally made in Mexico with the Mexican people. This is what we are looking for. So in Mexico, there's great production of fiction, and but we want factual production or lifestyle, which is the other for the other channels we have. So there's huge opportunities, and so we want to have more opportunity for production, co-production to try to find these things. This is what we are actually looking for. So thank you very much, Allan. And now we are moving on to Mauricio Piccone, who is the manager, the senior vice president, actually, of Endemol Latino. Very, very successful in the USA with wonderful ratings. So you have a project in Mexico. Let's just look at the Endemol video first. Thanks.
Llegó la hora de la verdad. Estamos en la gran final de Yo Me Llamo.
Por abajo, calientito, bien pegado. ¿Preparada? ¿Lista? ¡Ya! Sí, 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 sí. No. ¡Ya! Víctor, Víctor, no. ¡Ya!
A ver.
No, papá. ¡Ya! ver.
Matías, sí.
Uy,
¿La viste?
Sí.
Ya.
A ver.
Uy, muy bien. ¿Sabes que sí? Ah, me encanta. Sí, sí.
Sí, sí. Ich bin ein Berliner. Hey, brother, there's an endless road to be discovered. Hey, sister, know the water's sweet, but
My heart is in pieces right now.
It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Holy crap! Bring it on!
Thank you, big brother.
Bueno, yo manejo la oficina de Miami.
So I'm in charge of the Miami office, so the Hispanic market, and of course Mexico. And Endemol is the independent producer, actually the biggest in the world. We have a very important creative machine. Our products travel all over the world and they work all over the world, talking about content. So the idea is to have fresh, new content, things that can work. And now we want to grow, we want to have more products, and we want to come to the market with new things. Endemol Latino is managing Mexico, and it's a huge opportunity for us. And we are trying to see how we can come back into the territory. So we're going to come back to Mexico and open an office in Mexico. This is the idea for the future. So thank you, Mauricio. And the last but not least is Pedro Torres, only alphabetically speaking, and very well known internationally. He is a photographer more than anything else, film producer, marketer. So Pedro is the CEO of Endemol. This is like a production house that it has turned into shops and different produced products, especially literature, books, and also he is obviously very interested also in images. So let us know, he did not take a video talking about the Endemol, but Pedro and his group are part of those who produce the imagery of ProMéxico. So this is what we're going to look at. So this is the video they produced.
Mexico is one of the world's top producers and exporters of creative products. Is it true that Mexican media and creativity companies report sales of over $20 billion a year? Oh yes. And that nowadays, our media contents impact millions of people all over the world? We hate to brag, but we are that popular. And it's all happening in Mexico as we speak. Find out for yourself.
So thank you very much, Richard. But in the Endemol, we have the opportunity of producing infinite content for Sony, for Fox, for lots of foreign companies with excellent results, and obviously producing in Mexico. And now I am trying a lot and hardly with ProMéxico. There is the pavilion, Casa Mexico. We have helped out in a very orderly and structured way. We are supporting also financially, all the foreign productions who want to come to Mexico, together with Allan, with Discovery Communications. We are doing this, and I think that this, for new producers, for young people who have the technology, and with the incentives of Pro-Mexico, Mexico is the ideal country to have people come and work in Mexico. So I think that the creative industry is a reality and a priority, looking at the new reform that this new 6-year period for the president is trying to foster. I think that Mexico is not just a producer in Mexico City, but also in Monterrey, in Guadalajara, and in other smaller cities. So this we have the opportunity because we have the technology, and I firmly believe that Mexico, with all the heritage we have of the great writers and novel writers, etc., we have huge talent, and this is going to be very interesting for productions that will travel all over the world. So thank you very much. I think that with this panel, we want to promote Mexico, of course, and not just these opportunities in these situations, but, and of course, all you have seen is produced by Mexico with the Mexican crew, and so there's huge talent, and so in the international industry, you're always looking for people who is Mexican in order to incorporate Mexican feeling. So what has Mexico that makes it so different from other production centers?
A ver, Epigmenio.
Epigmenio, what is your opinion? Well, Mexico has complexity and diversity, which is extraordinary, and it shows in all the aspects of life. If we strictly refer to production of audiovisual content, what does Mexico have? It has an extraordinary creative strength with great writers, screenwriters, directors, and I'm not saying that in vain. Our photographers and the cinema industry shows the power of the Mexican creativity, but this is an amazing country with also very difficult situations. It has big plagues, but it's the ideal platform to penetrate the North American market and the Hispanic market. 70% of the Latin American production in the U.S. is either Mexican or half Mexican and half done with a joint venture. So I think this is a national need. If we do not take care of that population, if we do not give our compatriots who have emigrated this feeling of the country they have left behind, and if they forget our country, it will be our fault. They will not forget us, but they need this link, which is the creative production that we provide to them. And in economic terms, we're talking about a connection of two amazing markets. This is building a bridge of 110 million Mexicans plus 7 million Spanish-speaking people in the U.S. with purchasing power, which is amazing. The whole Latin American population, from the Bravo until Patagonia, has a huge potential. We have to realize the potential we have as a country, as a market, and as a creative industry. And I believe that what we have to do is really what you were saying, is to establish modes of production and co-production which will enable the Mexican industry to transform itself into the platform to move forward towards the most important markets of the world. So this is the effort that we are doing here, and I think that we have very strong assets, and we will open our arms to anybody in the world who want to establish relationships with us and do co-productions. There are 124 companies that came to this MIPCOM event under the umbrella of Mexico. I never saw that in the past before, and they're companies of dubbing, subtitling, production, any type. And this is really an amazing window for us to have and to give them such an opportunity now, following the facilities that Mexico provides. Some things are a little bit expensive sometimes. What do you think, Pedro, of this situation? We have had the opportunity to work with Warner Brothers in the Latin adaptation of Gossip Girl, and we did that in Acapulco. There were 27 chapters filmed there, and really the results for Warner were amazing. Both we were afraid about the security of Acapulco, but this was based on the grounds of realities, and we tried to improve the situation little by little. But we together discovered that the levels of quality were exactly of top class level. The rented houses that we rented were amazing. The digital cinema, the lighting and photography teams, and the talents of our Mexican technicians, which have been forging themselves since the 50s and also come from commercial TV sometimes, and also gained from their experience in TV. There is an amazing expertise in the production and sorting out of problems in a very efficient and very Mexican manner, any potential problem. So there's an opening with the unions as well, and we work hand in hand with these trade unions. There are lots of independent productions which do not have unions, and I think it's very important to establish, always in a very professional manner, the projects from well-established production companies to make sure that everything is covered in terms of people working with us and the potential hazards, etc. So we are opening our hearts and our doors to any foreign investor or professional who want to incorporate Mexican productions to enrich our offer. We take a lot of part to the advertising company, and as you know, there are lots of brands that are in all TV shows. The money comes from the advertisers, of course, and we have Colgate, etc., which take part, and every time more in the production of content. If somebody from the public would like to ask us any question, we are open to any discussions. I don't know, Allan, in Discovery you produced a lot, and maybe you've got a lot to say as to the opportunities and what Mexico has to offer to the world. We are talking about what we develop and also the big efforts to develop this business, and also make big efforts we make to open ourselves. One of the challenges we had when we started producing a lot in Mexico, we were doing 4 series, and 3 of them are going to be broadcasters in the whole of the world. One was done in the north of the country, another one was of adventure, of the manga type in the Selva of the South, and we did another Desafío Fashionista, which is totally Hispanic and a farce, so they're totally diversified, but the costs are a little bit high. We also have discussed that we should try to find ways to decrease these budgets and to make them cheaper, and all the efforts we're making here to make that more accessible, so that more people will look at the option of Mexico. Not only is it important for Latin America, but it also opens the doors to the Hispanic market, which is very important. For me, it's very important, but also I believe that in the Hispanic market, the production costs are quite more expensive than in Mexico, and we are seeing more and more people looking at Mexico to produce light formats at a much cheaper cost. So Mexico is now turning to a very important option under that perspective to move the Hispanic productions towards Mexico. With respect to costs, of course, there are states in the province and institutions that provide incentives to these productions coming to Mexico and to produce their content here. They receive incentives from the state of Durango, for example. It's been giving incentives to the movies of John Wayne in the Durango area, and the state is really funding some of the costs. So Mexico has lots of official incentives in Mexico. They promise that not only for this year, but also in the future, Mexico would be the country of honor. But any upcoming year will be marked by MIPCOM in France, but also in other markets. And we will keep on really giving our umbrella to all these companies where there are young talents. Maybe somebody would like to respond to what I'm saying. These new young talents emerging in Mexico, and our current history is very important. It's not something recent. They've always been there, but there is a demultiplication of opportunities and open windows of producing, of doing products of any types of quality. And what they're looking at is eventually, well, and I've always believed in that. I believe that all in all, what is being generated in Mexico from the 50s until nowadays is the distribution and the production of Latin American productions and the openness to telenovelas. We are present in the whole of Latin America. Our content is seen in very many countries, and I believe that the future is really in the fact that we are willing to co-produce what the other channels produce in co-production with us, and we can share costs to be more effective for the new channels, which will be challenging on a new content for them to have a possible distribution and have a new share of that participation and of that production to penetrate not only the Hispanic market in pay TV, but also in free open TV channels. I think there is a very strong opportunity in the future, and the young producers are seizing this opportunity with new contents, with new formats and new schedules. Now, the TV is the triggering element of the digital content, but it's also pay TV, of course, and this will for example, explain the success of Logos, who has millions of followers in Latin America and in the US, and this content is growing and gives opportunities to new creativities, independent creativities, and with these added values of production, we always get some very high quality of production. Other stories and other points, I believe, is that there is a very big bank of history elements, a lot of creativity in Mexico. Some people may want to contribute how these histories are contributed and what is their attractiveness for the international market. Epi is doing ongoing projects all over the year. I believe that the fundamental part of the content is the origin of the history. In Mexico, we have a very long literary and dramaturgic tradition. It's a very sturdy and long-lasting tradition. And this independently from the fact that we have the means and the industry to sort out any challenge that a producer wants to raise. Because in Mexico, we have the best producers, the best special effects staff, the best technical staff to be able to produce any dream, not only for the North American industry. And this is very simple why lots of Americans produce in Mexico, because of these challenges, because of these assets. But I think that creativity in our country is extremely important. We have huge writers, and they have an amazing analysis capacity and representation of reality, which put them at the height of the world top screenwriters. We also have received a lot of creativity because we have the tradition of communicating. I think that the exercise that is being undertaken now with the openness and the potential demultiplication of screens is an opportunity we did not have in the past, and it enables an explosion of creativity in the country. The fact that today there are so many producing companies which are independent and present, gathered here, the fact that they're demultiplying the possibilities of production. This is how you raise talents. The excess concentration in two channels, the openness of the windows, the presence of companies such as Endemol, Discovery, the position of HBO in Mexico, the openness of schedules within the large channels of the producing houses are forging opportunities, bringing a very healthy, positive wind to our regions. It's positive not only for the big Mexican producing companies, but also for any of our colleagues. And we are not only producing our histories, but we also enable our histories to cross the bridge and being converted into other languages. Now they do remakes in other countries of our history, so it's just like, as people say, sometimes when you look at the mirror, the rear mirror, things are closer than what you think. People are producing nowadays in a way that is totally stunning. And we are now facing horizon, and we don't even know what is coming next, but we have this open state of mind, and we want these youngsters being learning from us, but also we want to learn from them. If somebody in the public would like to ask us anything. No microphone for the person in the public. Jorge Arregui has a subtitling and dubbing company, which is very important. And Mexican dubbing is of world class. Of course, this is the whole story of the radio, of cinema, and of course, TV. We've had the opportunity to work with everyone and to work with Allan with the launch of Discovery Latin America in the beginning of its history. It was an amazing adventure, but I'd like to say I'm very glad to be here to represent Mexico and this change of culture that has appeared in the country first amongst the young generations, as you call them, are also following us. We are the sandwich generation. There are some youngsters who are here for the first time, and they're recognizing that Mexico has the critical mass to be able to be a challenger of the top league, as I'd call it. But also there is the behavior and the desire to unite our strengths, to work with common efforts and to obtain a positive result. And also universities are doing their job in matters of new technologies and literary workshops and philosophical matters. And I think we are in a very important period of our history, and this is why we are all here today, because these are the elements pushing these new generations towards the future, and I believe that they have to be trustful in our potential. We are going to seize the opportunities that are coming next. In terms of figures, the dubbing figures for the Latin American market. Our tradition, of course, comes from cinema, from radio novellas. Before, we were used to listening our voices, our catchphrases, idiomatic expressions, and we had to do a sort of adaptation of the language. We had to soften it, but also the way people speak, and since language is something very subtle and it changes year after year, this has enabled the international products of good quality. But in general, international products throughout the Mexican dubbing are now being listened and understood in the whole world. So thanks to dubbing, everybody now speaks Spanish. Another question, I think, in the public. Go ahead, please. This is a question. As you know, the topic of production is based in 2D or 3D animations. I'd like to know how you focus this topic, how you have been handling it, because this is one of the lines or ways that offer a lot of new opportunities. What are you talking about? 2D and 3D animation or anime? movies, animation movies. I don't have a lot of expertise in that, but I've been surprised by the work that has been done in Guadalajara. I don't know if the producers are here today. I saw them at 3 o'clock in the morning. They were dancing with Nordic. But they're pushing forward the industry of animation movies and motion pictures. And I'd like to say that we have an amazing, sensitive staff working in the industry that is producing the Espíritu del Charhuello is on the 7th season, and I think they're very good at what they're doing in 2D and 3D. I believe that you're from Colombia. You would like maybe to add something else? But as Pedro says, of course, 2D and 3D, and this studio is one of the best companies that is giving services to the whole world. There's a lot of talent in motion pictures and in high-tech movie industries. I don't have much more time. If somebody else would like to add something in a panel, or if you have any other questions coming from the public, yes, I'd like to ask you, Epigmenio, the explosion of creativity you're referring to, what relationship does it have with the climate of terror, the situation of the lack of the rule of law in the state of Mexico? Because we are referring in the creations that there is a very tense climate in Mexico. How do the histories reflecting the climate in Mexico? 70,000 people have disappeared recently. I'm absolutely convinced, and I'm a person stemming from the war. I trained myself at war. I have seen the death moving forward and taking hold of whole countries. And the violence is something that moves me deeply, and I'm fully convinced that what we are doing, that the communication, the television productions and movie productions are sort of a medication against violence. And this is what we try to do with the stories we're telling. There are terrible facts that we have seen, but I think we should not support them. We have to tell these very bad stories. We have to conjure violence like a talisman against violence. For many years, we've been producing stories that were nurtured from this very painful reality. We are talking about narco novels. 20 years ago, we were producing these notions of talking about what happens in our countries, the violence, the pain. And we keep on doing that because whilst we can talk, whilst we can tell stories that happen, we still have hope. Thank you very much. Maybe we still have time for one very quick question in English or Spanish, whatever, in our forum and this panel. It was very interesting. Some other question from the public, maybe? Anybody else would like to ask a question? Okay, so thank you very much, and thanks for your assistance. Thanks to the panelists.